Welcome to the Boston's Big Four podcast. Cast. New news about music and sports every week, sometimes.
So we are back, episode 63. Brad Marchand, not episode Brad Marchand, but shout out to Brad Marchand, number 63.
Big shout.
Episode PBlaze. We have PBlaze in the building, hip hop producer.
Big shout out to PBlaze.
Yeah, Easty, you introduce him.
So my man PBlaze, we met at officially at a show at Maggie's that Hush hosted, and we connected right away. You produced one of the ciphers that we did, I believe the first one we did. Then, dude, you've always you'll just hit me in my inbox, Easty, I got this beat. It's got you on it. And, dude, we just always had a good connection. And I need to get this man some shine. He's got a great project coming out. Features myself, Hush, Mike Ross, as far as New England-based artists. But a ton of artists, very talented artists. I've heard some of the sneak peeks. Shit's fire. But nonetheless, big shout out to PBlaze for joining us tonight on the podcast.
Yeah,
yes.
Y'all, thanks for having me, guys. Man, it's great. I've been watching all the snippets and shit over the years. Easty's been posting with you guys, but I'm really blessed to be on here, man. Thank you, guys.
Absolutely, we're happy to have you. Reporting live from South Carolina tonight, right?
Yes. Charleston, South Carolina. It's back where I went to high school. I'm in North Charleston right now, but
are you in a studio right now?
I am in a studio right now. I'm in Chameleons Media here in North Charleston.
Nice.
Yeah, man.
Dope.
It's legendary Sean Dolby. I got to give a huge shout out to him. He's let me crash up in here for the podcast. Just this way, I ain't got to be in a fucking bedroom or some shit somewhere. So trying
or in the kitchen.
Yeah.
Man.
But the only one thing we do have to get off the table real quick is he's a New York sports fan, and this is it.
You knew it was coming.
That's
right?
that's definitely a first for this podcast. That's
we got to
definitely
get
a
it
first.
out of the way.
All right, so I'll put it to you like this. All right, so I was born and raised in New York.
Yeah.
We moved to South Carolina, went to high school down here. My family's from New York. My dad's from Brooklyn. His dad's from Brooklyn. So we're full bred, born, New York. Boston, New York rivalry is great. And, as much as I can't stand the Sox, I will say the one thing we can always come together on is fuck Philly sports.
Yeah, no, that's true.
You never hear somebody.
Philly.
Think about it. You never hear somebody say like, damn, I'm a Broncos fan, but the Eagles are all right. Or,
everybody hates Philly. Everybody hates Philly.
I like the Minnesota Wild, but, the Flyers are okay. Ain't nobody says that, man. Fuck Philly. Everybody hates
right.
Philly.
It's because the fans are dickheads.
Yes.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
So you're a Yankees fan then?
I am a Yankees fan.
Okay.
I don't really follow baseball all too much, but my baby mom, she's a diehard Yankee fan. And so when we got together, we were together for, almost 3 years. So, we went to games all the time, watched it on TV, I had the MLB TV app and shit. So used to watch a lot of that. I got to watch you guys win the World Series that year. So
that was fun.
Yeah. It was a little rough, but
Yeah, we loved it.
And you're, I hear you're a Giants fan too.
Big time, yeah. So I like to say, Tom Brady, he's the GOAT. What is he? He's 6, Eli, and Nick Foles, right? Something like that. So but
that's true.
Yeah, it's those are. I always like watching Giants and Patriots play because Giants we've been stuck in since we won the last Super Bowl.
It's like you guys either suck or you beat the Patriots in the Super Bowl. That's pretty much it. Yeah,
but the thing is that even when you look at this past year with Daniel Jones, right? We were in the game to halftime. You got a rookie quarterback, one of the worst offensive lines in the league, and a defense full of rookies. We kept you guys in, on your heels up until halftime, and then at that point, we just got beat with experience and talent. So
right.
But, you know, that's the thing about New York sports fans, though, is that we're not patient people at all. So it's like, you know, right now
we're not either. We're the same way.
Well, I mean, you guys got high expectations, though. It's like
extremely high.
I could respect it. You know, the Boston, the city of champions. I mean, you look at all the Stanley Cups. You know, Bruins have won. Patriots obviously are, you know, greatest dynasty in sports history right now.
Yeah.
And then, you know, the Sox have a storied history. I mean,
Celtics have the most championships.
Celtics. You know, I mean, back when you guys had Bill Russell, I mean, you guys won it
the Bird era.
8 times in 10 years or something. It was crazy.
Yeah.
That famous picture of Bill Russell with like 11 rings or something.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
Don't even got enough fingers for him.
Yeah. So yeah, but you know, I definitely respect it, and you know, that's one of the most storied rivalries in sports. So I mean, if you just like sports, you turn on any New York, Boston game, any sport, you're gonna have
any sport. You know, people point to the Red Sox, Yankees first, but really any sport. You know, anytime we play the Jets, it's crazy. The Giants, the Celtics, Knicks is always crazy.
Yeah, absolutely.
You know, Bruins Rangers is always crazy.
That's a great one. That's always original 6 team. You know, I mean those.
Right.
I mean both those franchises go back almost 100 years. So
right.
You know, I mean, you know, there's a lot of history there. A lot. You know, you talk about some of the all-time greats that have ever played hockey have played for Boston and New York. You know, so it's definitely great, man. You know, I love sports, man. I can't wait for the NFL season to start back up. I get like big into it with fantasy football. You know, I'm just all about it. College football, I really only get into college football. Die-hard Wisconsin Badgers fan. Die-hard.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Okay.
So the story with that is back when I was a kid, you know, when the Giants drafted Ron Dane. I think I was like 9 or 10 years old when that
Ron
happened.
Dane, I remember him.
Yeah. What a name.
Heisman Trophy winner.
Yeah.
You know, played 4 years at Wisconsin.
Remember when they had him and Tiki Barber at the same time, and it was thunder and lightning.
Yep, exactly. Yeah, man. So when they picked him up, it was just like, you know, you find out he had like the most storied running back career at Wisconsin. And I just kind of got, you know, shoehorned into that. And same thing with basketball. You know, I don't really follow basketball anymore either, but funny story. I always tell people this is I hated Reggie Miller so much. So much. I was a Knicks fan. So, you know, when he obliterated John Starks in the Eastern Conference Finals, man, I was like, fuck Reggie Miller, you know? And so when they traded Starks for Sprewell back in, was it like 97, 98 or something? I was like, I hate Reggie Miller so much, I'm gonna follow John Starks. I became a Golden State Warriors fan. So
wow.
Yeah, and then
that's some deep hatred right there.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I was a kid. You know what the hell did I know?
I know.
Yeah.
I just played with him in like NBA Jam and, you know, all that shit as a kid.
Yeah.
Yeah, but then you know, through the years, I mean, through the 2000s, it was, you know, brutal back with you know, C Webb and all them. You know, it was bad times. Then you get Steph and Clay, and everyone comes in, and you have a dynasty. And then once they picked up KD, man, I was like, man, this is like some 2K shit. You know, it's like video games at that point. All the
that was stupid.
I stopped really watching, you know, basketball at that point.
Yeah, KD sold out. I didn't like that move at all.
Big time.
Yeah,
he sold out. After he had a 3-1 lead on them and they beat him, and then he joins them. Come on, can't do that.
That was the year that we went 73-9.
Yeah, and lost.
Yeah,
and lost. That's crazy. Yeah. Since you're a Giants fan, I gotta ask: is Eli Manning a Hall of Famer?
First ballot.
What?
First ballot.
All right.
Yeah, first ballot Hall of Famer.
Just because of the 2 Super Bowls.
2 Super Bowls, 2 Super Bowl MVPs. You look at all the fourth.
You know what his overall record is, right? It's like 500.
It's a little bit above that, but you also have to look at what he was surrounded with in the last part of his career. You know, I personally, if I was Eli Manning, I wouldn't have
Odell Beckham?
Yeah, I mean, he had decent stats under Odell Beckham, but, you know, and Odell Beckham was only there for, 2-3 years? You know, you got to remember his 4th year he was injured all the time. In the 5th year, they ended up getting him. So, but, yeah, I mean, when you think about it, so I can't remember who it was said it, but they were like, you know, when you determine a Hall of Famer, can you tell the story of the NFL without this player? You cannot tell the story of the NFL without Eli Manning. It's
interesting.
Yeah. So.
That's a good perspective on Hall of Fame because it may not factor in specifically stats. That definitely makes sense.
I mean, stats-wise, he's not a Hall of Famer. But those 2 Super Bowl runs alone probably make him a Hall of Famer.
It's worth a mention, yeah.
You remember the pass to Manningham along the sideline.
I mean, I try not to remember it, but yeah.
But think about it. It's like, has there really been I mean, I know you guys are going to say Malcolm Butler, but has there really been a more clutch play in
Malcolm Butler?
Yeah,
the Julian Edelman catch. Yes, the Julian Edelman catch.
That catch.
Well, also the helmet catch, too.
Yeah, but
in the first Super Bowl.
I'm one of those people. I'm a realist. I'm not going to sit here and be a homer. It's like, that was a little bit of luck. Was there a holding? Possibly. I don't think you make that call in the Super Bowl.
We had, speaking of which, we had Jarvis Green on recently, the guy who may or may not have gotten held on that play. We had him on the podcast recently. We didn't bring that up though.
I should have. I
know.
Would have been interesting to hear. But
yeah,
that's kind of my whole perspective on the Eli Manning thing.
Okay.
I guess that could be a touchy subject, though. I guess as far as bringing that up, we were.
Yeah, no, we were skeptical about it because, like,
No, I mean, realistic. In my opinion, he's first ballot, but I don't. Realistically, he might be a second ballot Hall of Famer, but without a doubt, he's going to end up in the Hall of Fame. I don't think that can argue. I mean,
I think he probably will end up in the Hall of Fame. I'm probably biased, but I think he's not a Hall of Famer just based on his numbers. But
you can make, but the thing is, you can make a solid argument for or against it.
You can. It's a great argument. It's a great argument to have either way.
Sound off in the comments.
Here's one that here's one that we get. Here's one that we get at the bar a lot is Giants with Phillip Rivers or Eli Manning. Do they win the Super Bowl?
Wait, what year?
Both years. Do you win Super Bowls with Phillip Rivers is a more, I guess.
Yeah, I say you do.
Statistically and winning quarterback, but he's not clutch. He crumbles on the biggest stage.
That's the thing. Eli is like an average quarterback who's just incredibly clutch. Like
absolutely.
He's incredibly clutch.
Yeah, so
that's more clutch than his brother with only like half the talent.
Yeah.
He's definitely more clutch than his brother.
Yeah, Peyton had. I mean, that whole line with Jeff Saturday and all of them. Man,
I mean, that pick that Peyton threw in the Super Bowl against the Saints was like, that's a throw that a great quarter. That's a play that Brady doesn't make. Really, he doesn't throw a pick six in the Super Bowl to lose the Super Bowl. Like,
I feel that.
And neither would Eli Manning. That's a play that clutch players don't make.
Yeah, well, they both still got 2 Super Bowls. And the thing is that. I think Peyton only has the one. Did he get the Super Bowl MVP with Indy? I know Von Miller got it with the Broncos.
I think he got it with Indy. Yeah, when Peyton won with the Broncos, he was a liability on that team.
Yeah, I got someone in the studio here saying that Peyton did win the MVP for that game. So
yeah.
But at the same time, when you look at it, Peyton's got 2 or 3 league MVPs too. So it's, I mean, I don't think you can argue that Peyton was 100% the better quarterback.
Oh, he was better. He just wasn't more clutch.
Yeah, I could see that. I could see making that argument. So
this could be a whole episode. Yeah. We're gonna have to get you back. We're gonna have a big debate with prepared statements. I'm pretty excited.
Man. If you guys ever want to do football, I'm all game for it. All game.
Awesome. So,
we should do a Boston's big debate. That'd be pretty fun.
Debates are the best.
Yeah, we'll host it at
Makes
Harvard.
for great content.
Be like NFL or XFL.
Oh man, we're not going to go off on that tangent right there.
No, we're done. The XFL's done. They don't even.
Yeah.
They're not coming back.
But it seems, I don't know, maybe it might be one of those things. They pop up every 20 years and change the game. You got to remember that we got the Sky Cam because of the XFL.
I mean, they were doing pretty well, but then the whole pandemic. I think
that's what screwed them over, though.
That definitely screwed them over a little bit.
The tickets. That's the thing was that. So I wanted to go watch the New York Guardians play, and so what they did at MetLife Stadium was it was only the lower section, and so if you wanted to get tickets in the bottom 10 rows, even on like the 25-yard line, it's like $130 for tickets. I went to the granted, it's like the toilet bowl game. So I went to the Giants against Miami. It was Eli's last game, actually. We sat on the 25-yard line about 10, 15 rows up, and tickets were $79 a piece. So it's like I'm going to go watch an NFL game, for that price, and, you could go watch an XFL game for twice the price. Like, it just – I'm
Didn't
not
add
gonna,
up.
not going to pay $130 to watch an XFL game.
That is
No.
strangely expensive. Yeah.
Yeah, that's weird.
They probably got to recoup for not being a thing for so long.
At least they
Make
paid their
that
players, unlike the Alliance League, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that was, but you know, Vince McMahon's got the money for that. I think that Alliance of American Football was like, that was just like kind of hodgepodge together. They just tried to rush and get it out. The XFL, you got to remember, they spent like 3 years. They got the review guy from Fox Sports was like the head referee guy. They had Andrew Luck's father was the commissioner of the league and stuff. So I mean, they had a lot of heads in there.
Yeah, they had
excited.
Pat McAfee doing some commentary. He's hilarious.
He's funny. He's funny.
God. Yeah, did you guys watch his podcast at all?
No.
I try to watch it here and there.
Oh
Yeah.
my God, he's fucking hilarious. He interviewed this one guy that was it was like what's your favorite jersey and all that, and because he had a whole jersey wall behind him. Tells the story about on the in the Pro Bowl once upon a time. Guy brought like his best friend there, and they got all shit faced. Peyton Manning draws a dick on his buddy's face. You know, they see him in the elevator the next morning, and they were talking, they exchanged information. You know, he contacted him, got a jersey, and asked him if he could write "haha, I drew a dick on your face" or something. He's like, "Nah, I can't do that." But you know, just listen, just like the stuff that people tell on Pat McAfee is just it's great.
That's so funny.
It's the whole backside of sports that you never hear. You're not going to hear it on ESPN, you know.
Right. Yeah, that's always fun, and I always like those edgier things when you get to hear the real stories. You know, like everything's all buttoned up on TV. So you never know.
That's why I loved when we had Jarvis Green on. Like, he told some good stories from the Patriots locker room, like Belichick screaming at Junior Seau, telling him to shut the fuck up. Like,
yeah, that was a good one.
And like, Matt Light mooning the cameras, like when they're doing that drill.
Well, when
he told some good stories.
They thought the rookies were stealing the lobster rolls or whatever.
Oh yeah,
the baked
lobster tails. Yeah. He followed Vince Wilfork to his car. They got in a fight about the lobster tails at the party. Like we got some good stuff out of him.
Vince Wilfork is the kind of guy you could expect to take the lobster rolls, though.
Oh yeah.
As a big man.
He never
I thought he was accusing Jarvis of doing it.
Yeah, I think he was.
He was so
he
offended.
was mad because he wanted like probably half of them.
Yeah, probably that's why. Classic. So I did want to ask you. I mean, Eastman did mention it, but what your time was like playing professional hockey. So are you like, how did you get there from the States, and then what was it like, and how did you get your contact overseas?
Yeah, so it was it's a dream come true. You know, what more is there to say? You know, you receive a paycheck to play hockey. I mean, it's I worked my whole life. I've been skating since I was like 5. You know, did all the youth hockey and the travel hockey. Went off and played juniors for a few years, and ended up playing a little bit of like minor league level in the United States. Then ended up going to Holland. I played over in Holland. And then played 2 years in Romania. So, basically for me, I took like 5 years off in between, when I first got out of juniors, and then when I went overseas, just had some shit happen in life, lost my focus and everything. And that's kind of like when I really put all my energy into music. Most of the things I've accomplished with music happened in those 5 years. And then it was just like that passion was always missing for me. So, I ended up getting, Actually, September 2015, I was 310 pounds. I'm only like 5'10", so I lost 100 pounds in a year and got back into playing weight. I hadn't been on the ice for 2 years.
You're like Tyson Fury, dude.
Dude, it was crazy. I mean, I wish I had photos on me. I mean, I think they're somewhere on my Facebook, but yeah, I lost all this weight and called the kid I played with, a few years ago. He was the captain of a team in Holland, and he, basically, talked to the board for me, and, they brought me on over, and so I was playing over there, I was coaching, so, everything was, hang on, so freaking text message coming in. But yeah, so everything was pretty cool with that, and that just kind of opened the door. Ran into some visa issues over there, came back, played out in Idaho, went to a camp, it's like a AA minor camp. out for the Pittsburgh Penguins. Basically, I was just too old at that point. I was 27 years old. They have a very active. That's the one thing about the Pittsburgh Penguins organization was they're a top-notch organization from the top down. I mean, for the whole camp, they had like the organization chefs there, making us lunch and stuff. We got to see their facilities and everything. It was amazing. And the coach, he's a no bullshit guy. He just came up to me and said, can you make this team? Absolutely. But you're 27 years old. If you look at the Penguins roster, 75, 80% of the guys had played in the minor leagues. And so they're actively, they're kind of a role model in the NHL right now, where they're actually capitalizing on their draft picks and bringing people up. Yeah. So when that happened, I'm like, okay, so am I going to stay here in the United States? If you play at like a single A minor level, you're making like $200 or $290 a week or something. If you play at a double A minor level, you're making like $600 a week. So I'm like, am I going to do that? Or am I going to go to Europe and make $2,500 a month and they cover my living expenses and I see the world? So, that opened up such an opportunity for me. I mean, I've seen like 7 or 8 different countries. I've lived in 2 other countries. And in Romania, I had a fucking blast, man. The conversion rate was $1 equals 4 of their currency. So, wow. So yeah, I mean, the guys on my team, the guys on my team, they used to fuck around and call me Baronsa, which basically it's like Baron, like you're somebody rich, noble, stuff like that. Just because I was taking taxi cabs to practice, I mean. Oh, interesting. So I mean, it was a $5 cab ride. What the fuck was that to me? Yeah. You can't get an Uber for $5 around here, in the United States. So for me, it wasn't a big deal. I mean, you could buy the beer comes in 500 milliliters. So basically, you could buy 2 liters of beer. It'd come out to $2.30 US. So when you could, I took one of my teammates out to dinner one night. We each had 2 beers. We had a big old freaking meal. We had like a salad to start. We had it's a national dish called meat, and it's like lamb and pork and beef, and they mix it together and make a sausage out of it. And it came with like potatoes and all this other stuff. It's a huge meal, and then you get like dessert on top of it. So for both of us, I mean, this is one of the more expensive meals in the area. It came out to like $35.
Oh boy,
for the both
That's
of us.
Amazing. Damn. Eat nice every night.
Damn. Yeah, right.
That's the move.
Yeah, I mean, if you went to like the Sheraton Hotel, which was like the nicest hotel, went to like the top floor restaurant.
Yo, Dave, you got birds over there, or is that a dog? Like, what's going on? Are the birds chirping?
Molly's upset. I don't know. She went to daycare today. She had a great day. They're both the star of the week at daycare.
She wants your loving, Dave. She wants your loving.
I know she does. Oh, man. She's a good girl.
You can give her a little ruffling. We won't be mad.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Go ahead. Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off.
No, you're all good, man. Yeah. So I mean, if you went to like the Sheraton Hotel, went to the restaurant on the top floor, it's like a tuxedo 7-piece dinner. It's like $60 per person.
So wow. What was your favorite? Did you discover like any new type of food that you like now will seek out? That's like your new favorite food while you were doing that. I know that sounds weird. Did you discover anything that you liked?
So over in the Netherlands, I lived about an hour and a half north of Amsterdam. So I was in like windmill country, like where you could see all the canals and everything. It was the Dutch farmland. It was the province I lived in was called Friesland. They're really known for like their dairy and all that. So like the cheeses in Holland were just out of this world. I mean, when you walk into like your supermarket or whatever, and you see like the meat section, that's how their cheese section is. It was unbelievable. Wow.
And it was like, I don't know how long it takes, but like, are those like fresh, like first cuts, or will you see like kind of the same block getting chopped down day by day?
I wasn't really, I mean, the cheese was good. I'm not like a cheese aficionado. I don't know all that information. Okay. But they had a delicacy there called sugarbrot, which is sugar bread. And it's basically they take like cubes of like sugar and they bake it into the bread and it like caramelizes. So when you cut this bread and it's like fresh and you have like melted sugar in there, it's like I can't even describe it. It tastes how sex feels, man. It's
Oh, it sounds like it. I gotta go, guys. Let's make a trip.
I was gonna say we should try to make some of that stuff. Sugar bread.
We could probably make it. Yeah,
we could probably make it.
It's amazing. You know, it's one of those things. It's like a really traditional kind of, you know, kind of thing that they do there. And I was eating so much that I started putting on a few pounds. I was like, gosh, you guys still there?
Yep. We got you.
Sorry. Yeah. So no, it was like, you know, it was I was started putting on a few pounds. I was like, I got to back off of that a little bit. So
yeah, some of those delicacies are just too good.
Yeah, I would assume sugar bread isn't the healthiest thing.
Sounds kind of like a donut, basically.
Carbs and sugar, man. It's not good.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
Was it anything like a glazed donut, or was the bread like a thick kind of like sourdough almost? Not sourdough, but
think of it as more of like a wheat bread. You know, it wasn't like an Italian bread. Like it didn't have like a rigid crust. You know, it was just a fresh loaf of bread, man. And it's just like the sugar was almost liquidy on the inside. It was, you know.
Damn.
I'm gonna do
like
this.
if you could imagine.
We're making this. We're making this.
Yeah, imagine like marble rye, right? You know how you see like the swirl in it? That was like kind of how the sugar was. Like the swirl would be like the sugar. It was, dude, it's unbelievable. It's so good.
That's exactly what I'm talking about. Yeah, we got to cancel this podcast and just go make some of that right now.
Do it live on the podcast.
I'm catching the next flight to Boston if you guys do that.
Yeah. So that's awesome. So you were in Holland and Romania.
That's where I lived. Yeah.
Well, not for different segments like that. Is that where you lived like at the same time while you played in Holland?
No. So in 2016, I was there in Heerenveen and Groningen, which is the northern part of Holland. And then when I was in Romania in 2017 and 2018, I lived in Bucharest.
Oh, I see. Okay.
Yeah. So actually, you know, we played up in Transylvania and all that. So they had like the whole Dracula's castle and everything up there. It was really cool.
Oh, damn.
So I guess I always thought that was kind of like half lore. There really is like a Dracula's castle.
So I'm gonna try. I hope if I'm wrong, then I could get corrected in the comments or whatever. But basically, it was based off of I think his name was like Ivan Dragul. And
right.
He was.
I think I've heard some of this. Right.
Yeah, and he was like a relative of like Vlad the Impaler or something. And so basically, you know, as story goes, is the actual castle that Bram Stoker wrote about is in Germany, but it was based off of a guy that was like, you know, like a vicious warlord or whatever in Romania. And so the funny thing about it is that like Vlad the Impaler and all them, they like preserved European culture. So at the time, the Turkish Empire was like one of the most, you know, dominant, you know, empires. And so when you come up from Turkey, you have like Bulgaria and, you know, some of the Balkans, and then you're in Romania. Well, Romania gets its name from the Roman Empire. And so Romanian language, even though it's surrounded by all these like Russian sounding languages, and they all use like Cyrillic alphabet and stuff, it's Romanian is the purest form of Latin-based language, similar to what they spoke in ancient Rome. So yeah, it's pretty
interesting.
Yeah, it's pretty interesting. So
did they not preserve other cultures, or was it just like certain ones?
So the thing is that, you know, when they came up to try to invade, you know, they would go at war with like the Austro-Hungarian Empire, and they wouldn't even try to go to Romania because they hear about this, you know, basically vampire that's like sticking people on poles and drinking their fucking blood and eating them.
That's so interesting.
So
and back then, you can't Google it; you just hear about it. That's crazy.
So you know, it's to some extent. You know, the jury's out on whether like this guy was like actually drinking the blood of his enemies and everything.
I think that would make you sick, right? Like, especially
it can't be good for you.
Yeah, it's probably not good for you.
You know what's interesting? Yep. As you started saying this history, I think they touch on this, or like they try to tie it in like one of the more recent Dracula movies, because they tried to like revamp it a few years ago. And I'm like, all what you were just saying, I'm like, this sounds like true, but I thought it was fake. But it's like now I'm like, I understand now. They were trying to make it part of like the real story.
Yeah. So I mean, basically, like I said, you know, Romania basically got like, you know, cut off from all these other cultures. So it was like, you know, so they didn't, you know, so they kind of like that language got preserved, even though everything around it. But there still is some influences. So like to say yes in Romanian, the word is da. It's the same thing as in Russian.
Interesting.
But like, you know, we have an Italian restaurant down the street for me in New York called Noctabuna, which basically means good night. And that's like, that's how you say good night in Romanian as well. So it's like Italian and Romanian are very similar.
Oh, that's
Interesting.
That is really interesting.
Yeah.
Because I always think of Italian and Spanish as being so close, and I would never think Spanish is anything like other than like those Romance languages. So like that's kind of interesting to hear.
Yeah. No, it's a wild language. It's very difficult to learn. Dutch was surprisingly easy to learn. After a few months of being, I think it was about 3 months of being there, I basically was like conversational. Like I could go about my everyday life in the city and like order my food and get like a ride and everything like that. Communicate with people on a basic level because Dutch is so similar to English. It's more similar to English than it is German, believe it or not.
Really?
So yeah. Wow. So yeah, it was really cool, man. Going to Europe was a huge culture shock to me. It was because there was so much that was, and like another touching up on that was that like in the Netherlands, it was like it felt more like modern, like kind of Western, but it wasn't like America. But in Romania, it's like if you see like these videos of like the bad Russian drivers in Romania, they are that bad. People like park on the sidewalks and drive on the wrong side of the road. Stoplights and stop signs mean absolutely nothing to these people.
Wow.
And the buildings, they look like the old Soviet Union buildings because that's where these people live. But it's like there was McDonald's everywhere, Starbucks everywhere. They had Taco Bell, Pizza Hut, KFC, Subway. It was Domino's.
All the good stuff.
Pizza. Yeah, it was just all of it. It was like they had more American stuff there than Holland did, but it was kind of like a time warp in Romania versus being in Western Europe. So yeah,
that's interesting.
It was crazy.
I do wonder if that has something to do. It must have something to do with the difference in culture. Like, it sounds like they're more grab and go over there as far as all the things you listed. Like,
but you have to remember part of that is like during the Soviet Union. When the USSR was around, like during the Cold War and stuff, you couldn't get rock and roll records. You couldn't get Levi jeans, and if they found you with it, they'd throw you in the gulag. Like that's a real thing. So when finally the Berlin Wall collapsed and everything, and the Soviet Union dissolved, like American culture just flooded the place. Like, it was, now all of a sudden, you have access to all these American brands and music and everything over there. I got to actually see in the city center, Rod Stewart perform there. And there was like tens of thousands of people in the streets singing to Rod Stewart. Like it was mind blowing.
That's awesome.
That does sound amazing. I want to be there.
Right?
Dude, you saw the whole thing. Give me your memories. I need. Yeah. That's amazing.
Yeah, some of them are blacked out. Just a forewarning.
Hey, that's fair. We got to do that.
So this is actually a good segue into music. So we got you on for MayDay. Talk about MayDay a little bit.
Wow. Yeah. So like I said, music, like during that little 5-year hiatus in my hockey career, music was just like kind of like the passion for me. I started producing at like 12, 13, so back in like the early 2000s. We were talking before the show about I was started with like, FL Studio 3 or 4 or something like that. My older brother was, he was born 13 years ahead of me. So, so he had a huge influence in my, in my life as far as like, music and stuff. And he grew up in Germany, when my dad was in the service. So he was in Germany. He was actually a rapper. He had like a little rap collective that they did. So he used to have me make beats for him. He taught me, downloaded Fruity Loops, and, we started, messing around on it. And it got real serious. And then like after, I kind of put hockey on the back burner, I just went full bore into it and just kind of, just really started developing, meeting a lot of people, started making songs, and then, and then obviously kicked off my hockey career again, and then just like loosely just started doing some music. So this project, some of these beats are from like 2014 and stuff. But the thing is that these are things that I wanted to do for a long time. I wanted to put out like, it's almost like a Mike Will or a DJ Mustard kind of project, where it's all my beats. I did all the engineering, the mixing and mastering on it, and just kind of reached out to artists everywhere. I mean, Boston is really, you know, God, you guys represent hard on it. I got the track with Dave, Easty, you know, got Hush Harding on it, got Mike Ross on it. You know, so it's like I said, you know, there's a lot of love from Boston there. Chicago too, got a lot of people from Chicago on the track. But you know, there's people from all over the place. I got artists from Chicago, artists from Minneapolis, artists from Virginia, you know, artists from Boston. I mean, artists from Philly. I got guys from all over the place, and it, you know, all in all, it came out so great, man.
And how'd you connect with all these people from all over the place?
Well, in Boston, I know, you know, Dave in his intro, you know, he mentioned I got linked up with Hush probably back in like 2012, 2013. You know, he was doing some contests and stuff. And if you guys know Macalo, you know,
yep.
You know, we got linked up through the underground scene. And so I did some mixing for him. And then he had to enter this contest with Hush. So he linked me with Hush, and then, you know, I ended up working with Hush. You know, Hush has done a lot of graphic work for me. You know, I've done some mixes. Like whenever his rig went down, I did a few mixes for him and stuff like that. You know, we always bounce philosophy. I got mad respect for Hush. You know, Hush is the kid's a grinder. He's a beast lyrically. Lyrically, he is up there with some of the best guys I've heard. You know, his metaphors, his punchlines. You know, he makes stuff that is relevant. Like, because, you know, he did this track that he's on. He did this track for me back in like 2016. And so,
dope.
Yeah, we just never got around to releasing it. But it's like the shit that he says is still relevant. His punchlines are still fresh. So it's like, you know, we're 4 years later and it's still like, to me, that's the sign of a great artist, is if you can look back on your catalog and be like, damn, I was smoking the mic back then. Like, that's pretty dope. But yeah, a lot of these people is just, you know, it's just networking is such a huge thing. You know, I got work with my boy Taib Ali. He used to be on Def Jam. He's
Taib Ali, I know who that is.
Yeah, that's my boy.
He's super dope. I used to listen to him like back in high school. I still know. Yeah. I forget what songs I used to listen to. But yeah, he's dope.
Do it.
Yeah.
I'm a high school dropout.
Yes, that was the one. That was the one.
Yeah,
yep.
He's got that Keystone State of Mind, all that
Keystone
stuff.
State of Mind, yep. No, he's fire.
So Taib Ali, he you know, I submitted a track to him and he hit me back. He was like, bro, this joint's fucking wild. And so, you know, next thing you know, like, you know, we're sending shit back and forth to each other. His most recent project, it was awesome because, you know, this guy's got like, I think he's got like 30,000 monthly listeners on Spotify. And my track was the #1 listened to track off of his album. So awesome. That was like super dope. His project Underrated, I did 2 tracks for him. We've released a few singles, and then so he hit me back with this track for this project that we did just a few months ago. And so yeah, it's like I said, it's a lot of love with him, man. And you know,
it's dope.
It's all about networking. You know, it's just building relationships and just trying. You got to be upfront with everybody. You know, it's you know, like Dave was saying, you know. It's like, if I make something, I'm like, damn, you know, Easty will rip this. I'll send him something and see what he's thinking. So, you know, it's just trying to keep an open working relationship, being 100 with people and just keep it moving, you know?
Yeah. What do you think about Easty's skills on the mic?
He sucks. No, I'm just no, honestly, like his track is one of my favorite tracks on this project. I hit him up and, like, dude, he got it done in 3 days. Like, I sent him the track. He hit me back, bro, what the fuck? This is fire. I'm going to start writing. The next day, he sends me a video preview of it. And then the next day, Owen went over with him and recorded the shit. They sent it to me. And it was, you know, I didn't know where this track was going to fit on the project, like, as far as, like, in a track listing. But his intro, man, he's like, Ayo, PBlaze, they ask me why my shit's so fly. I tell them I'm a staple in my city like the Sitgo sign. Let's go. I'm like,
that is dope.
I was like, fuck, man, like, you know, and then like, because it's a guitar-based sample, so it's like, you know, when that guitar riff kicks in, you know, he's like, don't call it a comeback, baby. Like, to me, that's like, you know, that embodies the project. So it's my lead track on the album. It's track #1.
Hell yeah.
I'm excited about that.
Hell yeah. That's
the
what's
minute
up.
the minute I heard it, there was no doubt in my mind that was track number one. I mean, because that's like, it just, like I said, it embodied everything. It's like, don't call it a comeback. Like, for me, it's like, I never stopped doing music. I just don't do it like I used to do anymore.
Right.
And it's like, I'm putting this project out. I mean, the entire thing, it's flame after flame after flame after flame. Everybody, I mean, I tried to have everybody approach this like we're doing a single. So it's like, we got 12 tracks on this thing. And it's like, it's not like, some killers and some fillers and stuff like that. Everybody just fucking smoked it when they went in. So, there's going to be something for everybody on this. It's going to be real good.
So,
hell yeah.
You mentioned that networking is key in a lot of these projects. And in this one, you did get a lot of people from a bunch of different places. And I was curious, I haven't heard the project yet, obviously. So I was curious, did you look for people with similar styles or not just this project, but other projects? Or do you find like having a common theme in the project is better?
Sort of, I mean, for me, and that's kind of how I'm going to market this is like, I don't like marketing things as an album or a project. Like for me, I'm going to market it. It's a music experience. Like I want people to be able to feel these tracks. I want them to be able to pick up like one of the artists I work with out of Chicago. Her name is Easty. She's a female artist. She is a fucking killer. Like she's super conscious. Like she talks about all the nonsense that's going on in Chicago, senseless killings, drive-bys, talking about all this, and just really hitting on like things got to change, and the only people that are going to be able to change are like within their community. So obviously, stuff like that isn't, it isn't solo to Chicago. There's people in LA, there's people right now in Seattle, there's people in Minneapolis, there's people in New York, Boston, Atlanta, everywhere, Houston, that are going to be able to relate to, senseless violence and like this glorified bullshit that's going on, that they're going to be able to actually feel it and, and like relate to it. So to me, that's like, I wanted people to like drop something like, and with Easty, he touches on a lot of, the people that he's lost in his life, and he does it in such a poetic way. But he makes it listenable too. So like, to me, that's my whole thing is I don't want people just spitting nonsense and not, I mean, if you're just like, there's one like the track I got with Hush, right? Is it's your gritty underground cypher kind of feeling track, but it's like he does it in a clever way. I don't want people to have to be mindlessly listening to the because you could have so much to say but say nothing at all.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
No, plenty of rappers do that.
Yeah, for sure.
I mean, especially like in the underground scene, and that's kind of why I stepped away from the online rap scene, is because there's a lot of people that have awesome metaphors and and different ways that they put things, like just their wordplay. But it's like at the end of the day, it's like you're just rhyming words and making metaphors. What are you actually saying?
Right.
Like, is there any content here, or are you just playing with words? Which I respect. I respect the craft, but it's just like people wonder why. Oh, well, I'm such a good MC. Why haven't I blown up? Well, it's because you're trying to make music to impress other rappers.
You're just well, a lot of times those rappers, the only thing they rap about is how good they are at rapping.
Exactly.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like
so,
all they rap about is I'm a better rapper than you. All these new rappers suck. I'm the best rapper. It's like, okay, but what can you rap about other than how good you are?
Well, the thing is like, if you look at some of the people that are like really making it and like actually have like decent wordplay, it's like, I don't want to, if I'm listening to something on my way to work, I don't want to have to sit here, I got to listen to this thing 4 times to catch everything you're saying. I want to be able to listen to it. I want to say, oh, that was slick, and kind of get it. It has to be easy to listen to. It has to be clever to some extent. You got to have a knock and beat too. It's like it's a recipe to have a successful track. And but like a lot of rappers nowadays, there's people that are super talented, but they just don't get the recipe. They don't want to put it all together.
Right.
For sure.
And I have to say, as far as like re-listening to things, I usually appreciate and it kind of goes into the tolerating some of that nonsense where you think maybe someone's just putting something in there to fill out the rhyme scheme, or it just sounds good because that like hits at the right time. So, but then like after a few times hearing it back, there are maybe some cool things and like how they put it, and it did actually mean something. But then you realize this, oh my God, that line was even deeper than I thought. And then I appreciate that song a little more. And then as I hear it again, like sometimes like I've had some songs that I've had 3 or 4 things throughout it that I'm like, oh my gosh, she really was saying also this. And now that makes sense why this came after that now. And it actually like kind of, and I find the song still enjoyable even the first time through. So there is definitely a balance there.
I've definitely had songs where it took me like the 100th listen to pick up on something, you know?
Yeah.
It's like I've been listening to this song for a year and I just understood that line. Like I never even thought about it before.
Yeah, so I mean it's cool, like, you know, when stuff like that gets slid into, but then, like I said, then there's like some songs where it's like you listen to and it's like the whole thing is an enigma. It's like you're just sitting there trying to figure out.
It's like one giant puzzle that they want you to figure out.
Like Tech Nine. I would say Tech Nine does that.
I would say Eminem with his newer stuff does that a little bit.
Yeah, you know, I mean, it's like, you know, there's some things where it's like, you know, there's so many like double, triple, and, you know, I mean, even the best of them could do a quadruple entendre, you know what I'm saying? Like, but it's like, I don't want to sit here trying to listen to and enjoy the song and decipher everything. I want to be able to enjoy it and be like, oh, that's like, and like you guys said, you know, go back like on a second or third listen, be like, oh, damn, that just happened, you know? But it's like, it shouldn't take you the 100 listens to understand the song, you know?
No, yeah.
There's definitely an in-between, because I will say, like, when you're just kind of, I would compare it to like the machine gun spitting that people kind of like to hyperbolize. Like if someone doesn't appreciate rap, that's like kind of what they would do. Like, like classic, it almost sounds like a machine gun. So you're just like, okay, that I would even agree. Like it's egregious. Like it's too much sometimes to hear just over and over repetition. And it's kind of like, it's just tongue twisting, which again,
that bothers me when people rap like ridiculously fast, but they're saying nothing of any substance.
For example, Busta Rhymes and Look at Me Now.
I always bring that up. I always say that's the most overrated verse of all time. Busta Rhymes and Look at Me Now. Read the lyrics to that verse. He's saying nothing.
He's saw him perform
like
it
bada
live.
boom, bada bing. Like
fun.
that's all he's saying. Like,
So yeah, I mean, I actually got an artist called Playboy the Beast on this track, and he's you know, he's like a horrorcore kind of. You know, he does one of those, you know, chopping, you know, that's what he's known for, is his ability to rap, you know, double and triple time verses and stuff.
That's hard to do. I mean, that's not anyone can do that.
It is. Now, what he did with my track was it's a 24 bar verse, and he incorporated the double time into it. You know, at certain points, like there's parts where he's like, you know, rapping, you know, just single time, then he'll speed it up to double time, but you can clearly hear what he's saying, and he's talking, and like the substance of what he's saying is, you know, like I've put in all this work, you know, and all this other. He's talking about his body of work as an artist, you know, and talking about how, I mean, and it kind of fits in with the tone of the, you know, the tone of the song, where he's talking about like, you know, he's a lyrical monster, he's a beast, you know, and that was really like the whole premise of that track. So. You know, it really fit in.
Yeah, no, if you can execute the fast flow and like actually be coherent and say something, it's an incredibly unique talent.
Absolutely. So yeah, well, but, you know, I actually just got it the other day. It was everything was approved. You know, it's, you know, the release date is set for Saturday the 27th.
Okay.
So. You know,
so
awesome.
do you
Mark
do the
your calendars,
mastering
folks.
Yourself?
What's that?
Do you do the mastering yourself? So it sounded like, did you outsource parts of that, or?
So no, you know, I was thinking about doing, you know, outsourcing the mix and the master, but the thing is, man, is it's just, you know, it's so hard to find, you know, people that are like, you know, really competent when it comes to mixing. You know, it's like, I think, you know, we touched up on it a little bit before. I'll dive into it now. Is just kind of like the mix theories and stuff like that. Nowadays, you know, people like they spike the 8 and 10K range. They just, you know, they want that high range to pierce through the track. You know, when reality, your low range, you know, everyone's got bass in their voice. Some people talk like this, you know, and then some people are really high pitched and all this. So you have to go through there, you know, individually and pick, you know, the peaks and where, you know, the frequency ranges that people's voices are hitting. this way you can, actually, make their voice cut through and move everything else in the mix, in the spectrum so that it goes through. You can't just delete the low end and spike the high end and think it's going to sound good. Every part of a person's vocal mix is super important.
Hell yeah. So I got to jump off because I got to get up in a couple hours for work, but you guys keep this going. I just didn't want to be rude and jump right off on you. But thank you so much for coming on. When this COVID shit is over, you gotta come up to Boston. We gotta all get together, and we got a secret that we're holding on to too. So we'll definitely we'll definitely have you back on. But I'll hit you up. I'll be in touch with you tomorrow. All right.
Yeah, no doubt, brother. Thank you so much, man. Appreciate you.
I appreciate you. Peace, guys.
Yeah, man. So like Dave
Thank
said,
God we got rid of him, right? No, I'm just kidding.
Dog, right? No,
Yeah.
But we're working on some big shit. So it's I'm really excited to work with him. I know that we've been talking about trying to get a video for his track, and so hopefully sometime soon I'll go up there and be able to get that going.
Word.
Yeah, absolutely. It sounds like you got a lot in the vault based on how much you've been working, and you're working on. You have things in the vault from 2014 that are coming out now. So,
and you wouldn't believe how many tracks. I mean, I got so many tracks that there's tracks that people have paid me for and they've never released. And I'm just like, at what point does it become okay? It's been 5 years, you haven't released this track. Am I free to move it on? At that point, it just seems like, you just wanted to blow your money and,
right.
I mean, I'm not going to, I don't know, but then there's things where it's like, with Easty, there's with Easty, I like building stuff with him. With him, I don't have a problem, if I have a song that 100% is up with him, I won't have a problem sending it to him and saying, hey, let's work on something. Mm-hmm. And, with that, man, it's just like, I got so many beats like that I've sent to people, especially, like I said, 2013 and 2014, man, I was killing it. Like, I got so many fucking just classic beats from those 2 years that nobody ever did anything with. Yeah. And so, I mean, I'm talking about like killers. Like, if I released a few of them, I tried to release with this project, but again, it's just working with rappers that aren't on their shit. Like, I had probably about 6 or 7 guys I hit up to be a part of this project. I really wanted this to be about 15, 16 tracks, and it came down to 11, and then I was able to add a 12th one that I really wanted to add at the last minute. But people, thanks so much for reaching out, man. I'm excited to be a part of it. The original release date was supposed to be May 1st. That's why that was kind of the play on the whole MayDay thing.
Okay.
It was like, it's in the middle of this whole COVID-19 shit, and then May, and then all this other, and then, but here we are. It's going to be almost July by the time it gets released. So
interesting, and that's
better late than never.
That's a good back cover for when you have the insert.
Yeah,
story on it.
Yeah, yeah, true.
Yeah, like I said, there's a little bit of stories, behind all of it. There's one track on there, Viva, which I actually just found out a few days ago that the track, it was supposed to be unreleased. Nobody told me that it got released back in 2015. So it's with a rapper called Speechless. It's my boy Derek. He passed away back in 2015. He got into a car accident out in Montana. And he was hands down one of the better rappers I've ever worked with. And but it's like hearing it, like I said, it was supposed to be unreleased. Apparently it got released. It was unbeknownst to me, unbeknownst to several people. I actually went through the proper channels and asking for permission to release the track because I thought it was unreleased. But when I hear the verse, he's talking about, I'm like, I'll be found once more in the scenery before, painted by the photographer before. I can't really remember the lyrics right off the bat, but it's like the way he's talking, it's like he's speaking from the afterlife. You know,
Oh man.
like coming back and saying like, you know, I'll be found once more from the photographer who shot the scenery before. That's the line. And it's like, when I think about it, it's like, I'm the photographer. My beat was the photograph, and his track on the song was the photograph. I'll be found once more, you know, from the photographer who shot the scenery before. It's like the minute I heard that, it was just like just chills. I mean, the hair on the back of my neck stood up. It was, you know, it was crazy. It's crazy.
Yeah, that gets pretty deep. I mean,
that is. Wow,
especially
that's
when things are like posthumous. That's always like people are saying like Tupac's releasing things after his death.
I mean, just hearing someone's voice after they've passed is alone can give you chills. But the fact that he said
when it's something
stuff
relevant,
like that, right?
Yeah, you know, and yeah, like I said, you know, it was crazy, man. But yeah, he's you know. I mean, you know, he's obviously moved on. It was a tragic accident, but you know, it's but you know, it's like that's why, you know, that's the beauty of art. Is like, you know, especially with music, you get to hear these people's voice again. It's almost like they get to talk to you again. You know, if you're familiar with the content of their songs, you can hear the experience, and maybe you were a part of it. You know, there was a music video that was shot back in like 2014 that he was a part of and stuff, and it, you know, showed us hanging out together and everything, and so it was like, you know, like stuff like that. It's a blessing. It's a blessing.
Absolutely.
So, yeah.
So you had mentioned before that there some of the artists, like they may have paid you for a track, but they never released it. And I don't know if that includes all platforms or just if releasing it also includes performing live, because we've actually talked before on the podcast about how there's different
I'm here.
I guess no, it's all good. So like different artists won't always they'll perform certain songs live, but will never. It's not like out anywhere to find. And I'm curious, like, have you kept in touch with any of those artists to know, like, if that's
you know,
the case?
so I've never, you know, I don't really typically leave on bad terms with anybody. You know, I try to conduct my business as professionally as possible. So it's like when I get paid for a service, I offer the service. Now, there's people who have paid me for like mixing and mastering services, and it's like, you know, then they never send the tracks they want me to mix and master. And I'm like, you know, it's like, you know, I there's even been a few times where I offered.
So they just gave you money for nothing. Yeah,
like, you know, there's someone that paid me, I think it was like $250 for, you know, to do an entire project for them mixing and mastering. And it's like they sent me 2 tracks, I got it done, sent the two tracks back, and they were supposed to get me some more. And it's like, you know, a few weeks go by, I say, hey, you know, what's the story on this? Oh yeah, I'm gonna get it recorded and sent to you. And you know, this all happened back in like 2015, and I still haven't heard. They deleted me from Facebook, so I'm like, what the fuck am I supposed to do? You know, it's like I follow up with the person and I'm going to get it recorded. I'm going to get it done. And, you know, I mean, it's like, now it puts me in a shitty spot. It's like, oh, am I supposed to refund this person, you know, 5 years later? Or
only if they ask for it.
I wouldn't say so.
I wouldn't say so. They chose to give you their money and do nothing. So
that's kind of like my whole point is, you know, it's like I cleared off a 2 week slate to make time, you know.
Yeah, the work's done.
The project,
right.
But they, you know, if you're not going to send me the stuff to work on, like, I don't know what you want me to say.
Yeah,
so.
That is interesting. Have you
paying for beats and not, you know, that's a bad investment. Paying for stuff and then not using it.
Well, I mean, it's my money, but it's not my money, you know. So it's
right.
Yeah. No.
What were you saying though, Owen?
No, I was curious. Like, have people come back like years later for a refund on a beat? Like, that sounds absurd.
I've never had somebody do that. You know, But that's the thing but that's how underground rappers work. You know, is like a lot of times they, you know, is like they'll pay for a beat. And they never do a song with it. They'll pay a graphic artist for artwork, and then they never release it. I'm guilty of that one. You know, I was supposed to release a project back in 2016, and it just fell apart. You know, I mean,
I guess that happens.
Yeah,
you know, shit happens.
Yeah, you know, but it's like I'd rather waste $50 on artwork than a couple $100 on production or you know, engineering services.
I was always under the impression that artists like kind of, well, I guess if they're able to hear the beat beforehand, they would already have a song crafted before they bought it.
Yeah. So the thing with me is I don't do like the whole BeatStars thing or anything like that. SoundCloud, like I don't put my music out. It's
okay, yeah.
it's too easy to rip off. And then on top
Definitely.
of that, you know, for me being a sample-based producer, like if you can figure out what my sample is, you can recreate the song. So for me, I only work on a come-to basis. So it's like, you know, you hear like I have a on my website, I have like a portfolio of music of things I've done for other people. It's like, so if you like, you know, any one of those songs, hey, can you make something like this? Or if you want me to make a beat that sounds like a Ninth Wonder beat, which is that's like my biggest, you know, comparison is people say that my beats sound like Ninth Wonder.
That's a good comparison.
Yeah, I would say
he's a hell of a producer.
This guy's a legend, you know.
He is.
But yeah, it's, you know, but it's like so someone sends me a track by Ninth Wonder, like, yo, I need something that sounds like this, like the way this was chopped, like, you know, the melody, the tone of everything, you know. That's what, like, to me, okay, give me a few days. So I'll make like a little, you know, 8 bars, you know, I'll do like a intro, an 8-bar, and then like a hook, and send it to him like, hey, is this along the lines of what you're doing? Yes, I'll keep working on it. No, we'll start from scratch. And then I'll just move that beat on to somebody else eventually, you know? But it's like, I don't do this, you know, I mean, and then the whole, I mean, if you want to get me going on this one, man, like lease beats and shit, it's like, you know, like,
seems crazy. 2 people could be
what
rapping
good
on
is
the
it?
same
Because
beat.
now you see these ads popping up. Exactly. You see these ads on Facebook popping up. $12 for 60 beats. Like, bro, that's like fucking 12 cents a beat or 18 cents a beat or something. Like, you're pimping yourself out. You're screwing up the game. And what it is it's like, you know, nowadays people are using Splice. Basically, so Owen will make a melody. I'll make a drum track. And then Jack, you'll make a like I don't know, some sort of synth line. Then Easty will download it, put them all on top of each other. I made a beat.
Yeah, and
like,
so
that's what people do nowadays, and it doesn't take any talent whatsoever.
We actually brought this up on a couple episodes back
with John Glass, right?
Right, with John Glass. So I was asking and about what his policy on that, and I think the general consensus these days is people allow it. But it does, in my opinion, because I do mess around trying to make some beats on my own, and I'm familiar with using Splice, and that's actually typically what a friend of mine, we like will work in Ableton together, and we use Splice one shots, or we'll usually start with like some sort of a melody or drum roll like from Splice, and it's usually like a starting point. And I do feel like it is a bit of a crutch as far as making the song goes. Yeah.
Nowadays, 100%. You know, I mean, like for me, there's nothing wrong with like, you know, I've done it on a couple occasions where I had a buddy of mine who's like, he's a beast with the keys. I say, hey man, you think you could lay down just a little 8-bar synth line over this? You know, I think it's really going to bring it to life. And he'll just kind of ghost produce that part for me, you know? But as far as like flipping samples and shit like that, my drum patterns and everything else, I mean, I'm crafting my own kicks. Like, you know, I'm layering 2 and 3 kicks, and I'm EQing and compressing and sidechaining them and mixing them together. And, you know, I'm creating all of that together myself. Like that's like, I'm not downloading anybody else's drum pattern and throwing it on top of samples. I'm not downloading anybody else's samples and, you know, laying my own shit on top of it. I try to do as much of the project as I can by myself. And I have to, you know, if I have to, you know, coordinate with somebody else and collaborate and whatnot, you know, then I'll do it and I'll give credit where credit's due. You know, I mean, like I'll go ahead and in like the royalty splits, I'll give them like, you know, 10, 15, 20%, whatever we agree on. You know, I'm not going to screw somebody over on their contribution to the track. But, you know, at the same time, I'm not one of these people that's going to take something that everybody else made, put it together and call it my own, you know?
Yeah, that definitely makes sense. Cause I'm sure, and I actually know for a fact it happens in probably more on the EDM side from what I've heard, is that you'll hear many different songs with samples that you're like, oh, they just flipped it a different way. Or this is like, oh, that makes sense. They just synthed it out. Like there's certain ones, I guess you can do like the distortion and things like that. So that I guess it is just like your own flavor. And it does, I think when you do slight alterations, I guess if you just slap them together and put it out, that is pretty much cheating. You might get slapped with like a copyright thing.
Yeah, you know, actually, you know, and it's funny too. Was you guys will be able to pick up on it when you grab the album. I did the song I did with Mike Ross and my boy DK down from Nashville. You know, I used a flample. I flipped a sample and it was popular with the Jay-Z song.
Okay.
And that was the first thing that my buddy said to me. He's like, bro, this sounds like that one Jay-Z song. And I was like, oh shit, I didn't even really think about it like that.
It's not the Annie sample, is it?
No. It's no. It was God. I think Jesus Christ, I can't remember.
I bet I'll recognize it. I bet I'll recognize it when I hear it.
100% you will. 100% you will. I mean, it's flipped a different way. It doesn't sound too similar, but you'll be able to pick up on it.
Yeah.
But it's like
that happens all the time, honestly. Like when I'm listening to songs, I'm like, I've heard this sample before. I don't mind that though.
Yeah, I mean, there's a few tracks I've done where I've actually had people say, damn, Just Blaze flipped this one, but I like your version better. I'm like,
yeah.
Thank you, but
right.
Yeah, you definitely want to be the best.
But
absolutely.
But the thing is music is so popular nowadays. You could buy a new MacBook and it comes with GarageBand and you could make beats right away. Fruity Loops you can pretty much download for free. You got Splice. People are making more music now than they ever have before.
Absolutely.
Across every genre, every single genre.
It's almost too much.
Exactly. Almost. So it waters down everything. It's really hard to find. There's a lot of people with talent that don't have financial backing or the right marketing plan to get their music out there. There's a lot of people that
a lot of people with no talent who have all the backing.
Yeah, I mean it's like I said, and the same thing is like when it comes with production is there's going to be overlap at this point. I mean with with the invention or discovery or whatever you want to word it with YouTube. It's like now I don't have to go to the record store. I don't have to go around the country to different record stores and digging through, crates.
Digging through crates.
I go right on YouTube, man. I could find rarest shit that you would only find in one city in the United States because it was a very limited release.
Right.
So I mean, but for me personally, I still love digging in the crates.
I was gonna say, digging through crates, like there's always gonna be that nostalgic factor.
It's therapeutic, man. It's therapeutic. And,
absolutely.
and it's like sometimes you find stuff that'll surprise you. I used to have a really good record collection. When I went over to Holland, I left it in my car. And I left my car at my buddy's house. My car got jacked. So
wow.
Yeah. So I lost probably about.
Hey, suspect number one, your buddy. Did we ask him?
So he's actually he's actually now a cop. I give him shit for that.
Okay. Yeah. He should have caught the guy. What the hell?
Yeah. Right.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah. But no, it's like I said, he parked it off on the side. He was supposed to move it towards like in his backyard. He had a big backyard, and he never got a chance to. And within 3 weeks, the car was stolen. So
wow, damn. Well,
yeah, man. Such is life. What are you gonna do?
Yeah. That is what happens, but it happens everywhere. You gotta be safe.
What's it saying? Sometimes it be that way, right?
Yeah, sometimes it
Lock
do.
your cars, folks.
Lock your cars.
It probably was locked. People are just good at that.
True.
So I guess I wanted to ask a couple things. Like you had listed off a bunch of ways you can get in. It's not impossible to just jump into music these days and like get started. Do you have any advice? Like, is there a software that you'd recommend?
Give me 1 second. I'm gonna just go. Gotta plug in my phone, fellas.
Yeah, those batteries. This is how they get you. They want you to buy a new phone.
We're plugged in.
Dude, my phone.
Can you guys hear me?
Like a few days ago, my phone died, and it literally took like 2 hours to turn back on. I had it charging for like 2 hours. I literally was looking for a new phone online, like I was ready to buy a new one, and then it eventually turned back on. I was like, why did that take so long?
My guess, and I don't want to just like be like this, my guess is just that you may not have been charging it out of something that was giving the correct amps.
No, I charged it in like 3 different outlets. Like I was trying everything.
Because I was going to say, I think it needs to get up to a certain percentage before it'll turn back on after it's gone completely dead. So that might have been why
it just took like really long. I don't know what the deal was. I need a new phone. It's getting old.
Apple or Android?
Apple. iPhone.
Damn. Yeah, me too. But, I was gonna talk shit if you said Android.
I'm an Android boy. I like.
Dude,
Androids.
I was thinking about going Android, honestly.
So here's the thing: Android's the same thing. You
Yeah.
don't lose anything except other people will get
It's
green text
least
messages and
it's
they
less
hate it.
expensive, right?
It's cheaper, and honestly, I switched to an Android like 3 years ago and have had no issues. I
Right.
had the same phone.
So Apple's just expensive for no reason, really.
I paid $200 for my cell phone. Have had it for 3 years.
Yeah, see,
and
that's
had
why
no
I'm like,
issues.
why don't I just go Android? Like, Apple's expensive for no reason. There's nothing like
I find that
about it.
Apple's a lot better. But getting back to the question about getting into music and whatnot.
Yeah, my bad.
Yeah,
no,
sorry. Got sidetracked.
I would have to say, for me, it's Fruity Loops. That's what I got into. I had the choice of Fruity Loops or Cubase, and the only reason I ended up with Fruity Loops was because it downloaded faster. On I think I was using Star or LimeWire or some shit back then.
LimeWire, classic.
But yeah, so so Fruity Loops it's come a long way. It used to be a very generic beat making, kind of thing. But nowadays, like I said, I do all my mixing and mastering in it. I use mainly native kind of plugins and stuff, things that come stock. But you could get a few things, from outside, and it works out just fine. So,
yeah,
that's what I would recommend. I feel like using, I feel like using something like Pro Tools. The learning curve is so steep. Like you literally need to go to college.
Yeah, and at that price point, it does seem like a lot. And I've looked at it thinking like buying it outright, but you're only buying the version. So to upgrade, you have to buy the next version. So who knows?
For me, I actually got really lucky with FL Studio. A really close family friend of mine. I gotta try and be as indiscriminate as possible with this. He works at a correctional facility, we'll call it, and they actually it's a government-run correctional facility, and they have computers there available for the inmates. Now, the inmates aren't allowed to, it's set up so that once they log out after their time in there is done, it wipes the whole thing. So, as far as all the saved documents and stuff, but they constantly request, Fruity Loops because they wanted to make beats and stuff. And so, the guy that's the head of this department, brought it up to the board of the facility, and they approved it. So they went ahead and bought Fruity Loops. But because there's no internet connection or anything else, they installed it on all these computers.
Man.
But the serial number was never used, or all this shit.
Wow.
So basically, it's just a trial version, and whatever they make, they make right then and there, and print on it. And that's what it is. So he sends me the serial number, and courtesy of the United States government, I got FL Studio for free, and it's free updates lifetime. So
wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
That is amazing.
Hit the jackpot.
I'm a man of the people, and I have given out my my registration key to multiple people. So
that's fair.
I have spread the love.
You're a good man.
That's all you can do. And yeah, I bet that's a floating license, so there's probably no issue at all with that.
When you install the red key on your system, every time you log in, you'll see my name in the top left corner. So.
Oh, I see.
Yeah.
Link my account only. Yeah. So I don't. But the thing is because other people are using my registration key, I never use the cloud. If I save stuff to the cloud, they'll have access to all my projects. So
it's like when we were in high school and someone had a Brazzers account and they shared the password with everyone.
Oh yeah. Wait, did that happen?
Oh no, never mind.
You'll love FL Studio Live.
So what version of FL Studio are you rocking right now? Oh, you're up to free updates, so you must be on the latest.
Yeah, I think I'm on 20. The thing, I'm always a little bit late to the party because first of all, I like when they work out the glitches, and second of all, it's like when I got so many projects running, when they switched from, I think it was FL Studio 12 or 13 to FL Studio 20, to represent the 20th anniversary or whatever it was. You know, that the jump was so insane. Like the way everything looked and was laid out was like a lot different. So it's like it slows down your workflow a little bit. But so yeah, so for me, you know, it's the same thing with my iPhone. Is I'm always one of the last people to update because I don't want them fucking up my shit. You know, it's just
yeah. If it's working, it's working. And
that's what I'm saying. If it's not broke, don't fix it. I mean, you know, there all these things on like the most, you know, minuscule level and everything. So
yeah, and I think it like that definitely. I would be afraid to upgrade, especially if I had more sensitive projects in place. Because whenever I see update things, I'm always like, oh man. I put it off like as long as I can for projects,
I do
just
too.
because it's annoying. And like sometimes upgrades, I actually work with upgrades often on other types of systems, and it's so sensitive, like to make sure there's a non-disruptive upgrade, and to do that in software constantly. I'm on batches of computers with people with all different setups. I totally understand why you wouldn't upgrade right away.
Right.
Yeah. Appreciate it. Thank you, Sean. Yeah. So, yeah, they gave me the key to the studio. I got to lock up when I get out of here.
Oh, amazing.
Oh, nice.
Dude, you're like Rudy right now. That's awesome. So I did want to ask you, so people mentioned you, I forget the name. Oh my gosh. Who people said you sounded like?
Ninth Wonder.
Ninth Wonder. Yeah. So do you have any like particular influences or other
favorite producers?
Are there favorite producers that you'd like to work with? Yeah.
Yeah. So I mean, I get compared to a few different people, but the one I would say I get compared to the most is kind of like Ninth Wonder or Just Blaze. But those guys, they really are like influences. But ironically, they weren't my biggest influences. My biggest influences kind of coming up was Ant from Atmosphere.
Yes. Great one. That's a great one.
I mean, just Atmosphere, you know, I had discovered them and they came into my life at the right time.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I have a God Loves Ugly tatted right here on my ribcage.
Yeah.
You know, just like how it's written on the album cover, which is, you know.
That's awesome.
Yeah. And then.
Actually, speaking of which, I'll be right back.
Yeah. So, I had, you know, Ant's a huge inspiration. Classified, huge inspiration. You know, just, you know, he was like one of those guys that like, you know, for him, he just made it like exactly like that. Yeah, you got the LP, man. Yeah. Yep, just how it says like that. God Loves Ugly, even with the crossed out part. That's how I have it.
That's awesome.
Awesome.
Yeah. So yeah, but you know, Classified, like I said, he's one of those guys that like
Classified.
You know,
he's dope.
Yeah, he you know, grind until he makes it. Yeah, you know, I mean, you know, a little bit like that. You know, Jay-Z, Kanye West. You know, those guys are huge, you know, influences.
Yeah.
And
I feel like as a producer, you got to be influenced by Kanye in some way.
Yeah, you know, I mean, it's like, but as you start digging, you know, I mean, there's really, I mean, there's so many amazing producers. Static Select is another one.
Static, oh man, he's so good.
Fucking legend. I would say there's two producers I could listen to all day and just never get sick of listening to their music. It's gonna be like Static Select and Ninth Wonder.
Static's definitely one of mine. Like he has so many albums that people like don't even really recognize, like they don't even talk about really.
Yeah.
But you look at his discography, like he has so many albums with all these great rappers, like all the best rappers, and his production's incredible. Like his jazz samples and just ways he infuses different genres, like he's amazing.
He's so well respected in the music community. You know, guys like LP's, you know, really big. DJ Paul from 3-6 Mafia, you know, is you know, he's another one that's like influential. You know, and then a person that really changed the way that I viewed sampling was Jay Dilla. You know,
Jay Dilla. Yeah.
Dilla has a lot of tracks that I gotta find out how to word this without pissing people off, right? He has a lot of tracks that are just like classic, like just legendary tracks. But the thing that I learned from Dilla is you can sample anything. Doesn't mean it's gonna sound good, but you can sample it. Like Dilla was one of those guys where you know, he swung at every pitch. Like he had as many strikeouts.
Like Nomar Garcia Parra.
He did home runs, you know? I mean, like if you listen to some of his like beat tapes and stuff like that, like you'll just hear one and just make that disgusting face listening to it. And then the next one you'll
that stank face.
What? You know, like the next one would be kind of like, that sounds like dog shit. Like,
yeah.
So me personally, it's like for me, Dilla's like hit and miss, but
okay.
But like, you know, his kind of like his philosophy, like he would sample anything.
Right.
And so it's like, you know, when you listen to like the stuff that I do is like, I sample things that people like, you know, it's just not common. Like I get really into like blues and jazz type samples and, you know, obviously soul samples, and I'm not afraid of modern music as well. So it's, you know, I just kind of try and keep my music spectrum broad, and I just
that's what you got to do.
Yeah.
Static definitely uses a lot of jazz and blues and all that stuff.
Yeah, his track with Rex, This or That, or this.
Yeah,
or that.
oh, I love that song.
Yeah, you know, that track is filthy, and but that's one of the only tracks that I've heard that Static got out flipped on. Ghostface Killah did a track with who did he do it with? Killah Priest and Jizza.
Yeah.
They did a track. I can't remember who produced it, but they used that same sample, man. It's called Purified Thoughts.
Okay.
And that song it's fucking
yeah.
It's so godly.
I got to check that one out.
Yeah, Purified Thoughts by Ghostface Killah.
Right.
I've been bumping that a lot lately. But yeah, another underrated producer, Apollo Brown.
Yeah, Apollo Brown's dope.
Apollo Brown is nasty. He does such good stuff, man. But yeah, what really turned me on to Ninth Wonder was all the projects that he did with Murs.
Murs, dude, I was gonna say, when I think of Ninth Wonder, I think of Murs. Like that's the first artist first rapper I think of when I think of Ninth Wonder.
100%. Yeah. You know, and Murs is like, he's one of those guys that somehow just always stayed below the radar his whole career.
Yeah.
Like,
he really built his niche in the underground, and like he's comfortable there.
Like he could go to all these cities and sell out shows, but it's like he's one of those guys that just never broke through for some reason. Very relatable art.
Oh no, he's awesome. He's awesome. Yeah, they've done a few projects together, him and Ninth Wonder.
Yeah, quite a few. I think they did about 6 or 7, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah.
Murs 316, that album.
Yeah.
That's one of the I've ever made.
They put out one a couple years ago, Better Days, I think it's called. Or Brighter Days, something like that. That one's fire.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a great combo.
Yeah, man. Oh, and you still there?
I am. Yeah, sorry, you just went off. I'm not super familiar with everything that was going on, so I was letting you guys go.
It's all good.
Yeah.
It's all good.
I
get off on these. We can just talk for fucking hours.
I could talk hip-hop for hours.
Oh, absolutely.
All day.
Absolutely.
And sports. Those are my niches right there.
Oh, yeah. 100%.
But I probably got to log off soon.
Yeah, absolutely.
So.
Yeah, no, thank you for joining us. This was a great conversation.
Yeah, this was awesome.
Yeah, there's no clocks in the studio, man. You know how it is. So
yeah. We're looking at 10:36 right now.
10:36. Not bad.
I definitely do got to get going myself, man. So, but
absolutely, yeah. Thank you for having us, or thank you for coming on.
Thank you for coming on.
Thank you for having me. I really appreciate it, man. It's great. MayDay, June 27th.
Yes,
Saturday.
June 27th.
Oh man, it's going to be great. I'm going to go ahead and actually send you guys a sneak preview of the album too. So
we would love that. That's awesome.
Thank you.
Do a little write-up on it when it comes out.
Appreciate it.
All right, man. Thanks for coming on.
Yeah, no problem, man. Peace.
Peace.